good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our reporters headed by Ms. Labarda. So for today's discussion, we will be covering chapter 1.2. All right. So shall we start?
Opo.
Okay. Our reporters for today's lesson are Mr. Penunya, Mrs. Quaryaga, and Ms. Labarda to discuss risk analysis, the chapter 1.2, and with their guest, Mr. Fornea.
Good day, everyone. We are the Group 1 and we are going to refer to the Chapter 1.2 Risk Analysis. Risk analysis is an analytical process which estimates probabilities and expected consequence for identified risk. An event is the occurrence or change of a particular set of circumstances. So, yung event na pong yun is uncertain or accident event po. Consequence is an outcome of an event affecting objective. So, sa uncertain events na pong yun, may mga consequence daw po na nakaka-affect sa objectives ng isang sa objectives. So, may question po ako about sa risk analysis. So, first question is, why should we do risk analysis? Mr. JP.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, we should do risk analysis for us to be able to know or to be aware what would be the possible problems we will encounter along the way. So, risk analysis is important, especially before you take action, lalo na kapag business or project you want to propose. So, kailangan may pattern ka ng step na gagawin mo para ready ka for some unexpected situation.
Thank you,
That's all.
Mr. Thank you. So, tama pa yung sinabi niya na risk analysis is to counter the uncertainty events of event na makaka-affect sa ating situation. So, risk assessment and risk analysis. The purpose of risk analysis is to comprehend the nature of risk and its characteristics, where appropriate the level of risk. So, it is the process po of determining the level of risk created by the hazard and likelihood of injury that may occur. It determines the appropriate ways to eliminate the hazard or control the risk when the hazard cannot be eliminated. Ang example po ng pag-control ng risk is yung mga safety signs po at workplace. Dahil we can determine the level of risk and reduce the risk. Question po ulit, Mr. JP. For you po, what is the difference between hazard and risk?
Pwede pa ulit?
What is the difference between hazard and risk?
The difference between hazard and risk. Hazard is something that could potentially cause harm, and while risk is the degree of likelihood that harm will be caused.
Yes, tama. Thank you. So, next po slide. Risk analysis can be undertaken with varying degrees of details and complexity depending on the purpose of the analysis, the availability and reliability of information, and the resources available. So, ang risk analysis po can address various levels of details and complexity to gain a better understanding depending on the purpose of the analysis. Analysis techniques can be qualitative, quantitative, or combination of these depending on the circumstance and intended use. So, we can use both quali and quanti in analyzing the risk. Risk analysis should consider factors such as likelihood of events and consequence. So, kino-consider natin yung probabilities and consequences ng isang events. Then, nature and magnitude of consequence. So, in nature and magnitude of consequence, ito yung level ng consequence, complexity and connectivity, time-related factors, and volatility, the effectiveness of existing controls, and sensitivity and confidence level. So kapag ka nag-analyze tayo ng risk, kailangan confident tayo para kahit anong consequences na mangyari ay handa tayo. The risk analysis may influence by any divergence of opinions, biases, perceptions of risk, and judgment. So, ang risk analysis po is na-influensyahan siya ng mga iba't ibang opinions and biases and perception of risk dahil iba-iba naman tayo ng opinion.
Pa-back muna ako ng isa. Ayan. Ayan. Sige, i-elaborate lang natin tong consideration or considered factors when we are doing risk analysis. So, di ba, sa discussion natin, our first topic is risk assessment, di ba? So, first discussion natin is risk identification. So, once na-identify na natin yung risk, so, i-analyze na natin on these factors: identification, analysis, and evaluation. So, ngayon, tapos na natin i-identify yung risk, di ba? Di ba, isa sa mga questions ko doon sa ating first activity is gaano ba ka-importante na i-identify natin yung risk, mga factors na magiging pahamak sa ating business, sa ating organization. Ang dami kong nakitang magagandang sagot at hindi gaanong magandang sagot. I mean, when answering this case study questions, it is more of how will you elaborate your answer. Hindi yung copy-paste mo lang siya sa Google, okay? That's, kung mapapansin nyo, depends on how I perceive your answer. It's just like what you wrote on the comment box is just like how you answer that specific questions to me. And so, when answering this kind of questions, guys, make sure you elaborate more of your answers. We are done with the risk identification. We identified already, or we know how to identify risk. So now is the time we analyze it. So in analyzing the risk, we should consider these factors. Number one, likelihood of events. So ano yung mga mangyayari ano yung mga posibleng mangyari doon sa organization natin, okay, yung mga risk na pwedeng mangyari and their consequences. Ibig sabihin, ang dami mong permutation. Well, yung permutation, ibig sabihin, marami ka number of scenarios, number of events na pwedeng mangyari. For example, yung first example na binigay ko sa inyo, yung staff na na-aksidente na dula sa kitchen because they have slippery floor. So that is one event. One event, nadula siya. Ngayon, there are many permutations of the consequences na pwedeng mangyari sa kanya. Pwedeng mabalian siya, pwedeng mabagok lang siya, pwedeng mabagok at nagsugat yung ulo, pumutok yung ulo, ganon. May nadamay na ibang tao, diba? May nasirang mga gamit. So what are the likelihood events or likelihood of events and their consequences? That's number one. Number two, nature and magnitude of consequences. Yan. So ano ba yung nature and magnitude of consequences na sinasabi? Yun yung example ko kanina na ano ba yung sakop or range or yung gravity nung nangyari. Nabalian ba? Nagkaroon ba ng pasa? Nadulas lang siya? Walang nangyari? No, may nasira bang gamit, walang nasirang gamit. And then complexity and connectivity, ayan. Pwede kasing nadulas lang siya lang yung nasugatan, nabalian. Okay? Complexity and connectivity, nadulas siya, natulak niya yung or nahablot niya yung isang staff, nadulas din, and then siya yung mas grabe ang injury na natanggap. Pwedeng mangyari yon. So that is complexity and connectivity. So pwedeng ikaw lang or pwedeng mas marami ka pang madamay. Or pwede ring For example, may nadulas, tapos may natabig na something that can cause fire. So from the simple na pagkakadulas ng isang empleyado, merong much more complex na nangyari. Number 4 is time-related factors and volatility. Is ifa-factor in din natin yung oras, what is the time related to the risk na mangyayari. Pwede ba siyang mangyari dito sa umaga, sa tanghali, o sa gabi? Okay? Mas volatile ba siya? Ibig sabihin, mas prone. Volatility is mas prone ba siya na lumala on this time? Okay? Mas prone ba na yung risk na i-identify natin is prone ba siya sa umaga? Prone ba siya sa tanghali? Or prone siya sa gabi o sa madaling araw? Number 3, the effectiveness of existing controls. Ayan, so how will we control the risk na pwedeng mangyari? So how will we control this risk na mangyari ulit or para maiwasang mangyari? Diba? Pwede maglagay tayo ng anti-slip mat, o kaya maglagay ng signages na slippery when wet. Okay? Ano ba yung effectiveness? O gaano ba ka-effective yung mga controls, mga signages na ilalagay natin? And lastly is the sensitivity and confidence level. How are we confident enough to give these controls and yung effectiveness nito kung sabihin natin na kapag nilagay ko tong anti-slip rug na to, wala nang madudulas dito. That is the factors that we have to consider when analyzing the risk. Next slide, please. Risk analysis may be influenced by any divergence of opinions. Ayan. So, sa mga mag-a-analyze ng risk, ayan, ito yung mga pwedeng mag-influence sa risk analysis natin. Okay, pwedeng for example, kaming dalawa ni Ms. Labarda ang nag-a-analyze ng risk. Pwede yung opinion ko, iba sa opinion niya. My opinion is different to her opinion. Biases, for example, is that we are analyzing risk and we are considering the safety of her group and my group. So may bias na mangyayari, di ba? So yung risk analysis na i-influensyahan din ng bias ng magkaibang tao. Okay? Perceptions of risk, kumbaga, iba yung pagtingin niya sa risk na madulas, ano lang yan wet floor lang yan, madali lang yan solusyonan. Pero ako, for example, iba yung perception ko dun sa risk na yon. What if mangyari to? What if mangyari yan? And of course, judgment. So these are the 4 influences that to have the risk analysis. Your opinions, your biases, your perception, and your judgment.
Risk analysis provides an input to risk evaluation to decision on whether risk needs to be treated and how and on the most appropriate risk treatment strategy and method. So sa risk analysis po, tumutulong po siya to examine the risk and decide whether or not to move forward with the decision. Threat and vulnerability assessment and risk analysis. So risk is a function of the values of threat, consequence, and vulnerability. The risk management process for federal facilities and Interagency Security Committee Standards 2016. The risk is the potential for loss, damage, or destruction of an asset as a result of threat abusing, threat taking advantage in vulnerability. It is inevitable then to conduct initially threat and vulnerability assessment. Renfro and Smith 2016 defined threat assessment as consideration for the full spectrum of threats. Example po ng mga threats is yung mga natural disasters like typhoons and mga floods. Then criminal, yung mga cybercrime na nangyayari or mga krimen na nangyayari sa
Yan,
and
robbery,
terrorists
pwede yan. Hindi
or
lang yung
robbery.
ano,
Yun.
yung mga, hindi lang cybercrime, ha? O yung robbery,
Yung
yan,
mga
shoplifting, mga ganon. For example, may nagbarilan sa harap ng establishment mo. Ayan,
yung nagsaksakan po.
ayan, may nagsaksakan, okay? Okay, next.
And terrorists and or yung mga nangyayari sa kalsada like yung mga banggaan ganun
Okay.
na hindi natin inaasahan for
Okay.
a given facility or location. In dealing with criminal threats, the crime rates in the nearby area may serve as an indicator of criminal activity that might pose a threat to the facility or to an event. So, yung isang krimen po sa isang lugar, kung marami pong krimen na nangyari, isa po itong threat sa isang yung krimen na nangyari sa Philippines, kunyari, ganon, na ito po ay isang parang nagiging threat sa atin. Ganon. Thank you. So, the next reporter po is Mrs. Quariaga.
Okay, so the next one is, once the possible threats are identified, a vulnerability assessment must be performed to consider the potential impact of loss from a successful attack and vulnerability of the facility, location, or event one attack. So sinasabi po dito na once na ma-identified na po yung mga possible or yung mga pwedeng maging threats, dito na po kailangan na i-perform or i-apply ang tinatawag nating vulnerability assessment. So, my question is, kay Mr. JP po, yung, for you po, what do you think is vulnerability assessment?
I think vulnerability is how does the threat affect someone.
Okay, so yung sinasabi po natin vulnerability assessment, ito po yung tinatawag nating systematic or step-by-step review of security weaknesses. Meaning, it evaluates if the system is susceptible or kung madali po ba siyang maapektuhan to any known vulnerabilities and recommends limitation to stop something bad from happening or mitigation if and whenever needed. So, yun po yung ibig sabihin ng vulnerability assessment. Para po siyang sa risk analysis, kasi kailangan po dito ng parang mga plans na kung paano po malilesen po yung mga hazard na pwede pong mangyari. So, an impact of loss is defined as the degree to which a facility or event is compromised by a successful attack from the given threat and it can be categorized as follow. So the first one is devastating. So when we say devastating, this is the facility is damaged, contaminated, or beyond habitable use. Most items or assets are lost, destroyed, or damaged beyond repair or restoration. The number of visitors to the facility in the organization may be reduced by up to 75% for a limited period of time. So, ang example ko po dito is yung the attack on the World Trade Center. So, nangyari po to long time ago na, year 1993. So, more than 50 million po yung damage na, yung nagawang damage po nitong natawag nating bomb, World Trade Center bombing. And,
Is it a bombing? Is it a bombing? World Trade Center attack?
At ano po siya? Terrorist attack po.
Okay, it's a terrorist attack. Anong ginamit nila pampasabog tong Twin Tower? Sige, tanungin natin yung mga classmates natin sa viewers natin. Okay, very good, Mr. Basilio. Okay, so airplane po ang ginamit nila. Okay, so nag-hijack sila ng dalawang eroplano at iyon yung atake doon sa World Trade Center. Kailan nga ulit ito nangyari?
Year 1993 po.
1993? Anong petsa?
Parang February 17.
Hala?
Ay,
Are you sure?
wait lang, sir.
Sa mga ibang mong kagrupo, baka merong may nakakaalam. Sa mga
27, sir. February 27, 1993 po.
February 27 ba?
Opo, sir.
Or magkaiba yung ina-identify natin?
Yung sa akin po, sir, sa ano po nangyari? Sa New York po.
New York, kaya nga, yung Twin Tower na gumuho, tama?
Yes po.
It's September 11.
Ay, sabi
Kaya,
po February 20.
kaya nga siya 9/11 attack, di ba? It's a 9/11
Okay po.
attack. Yun yung tag ng mga Americans to. 2001 o 1993? Anong year to? 2001 o 1993? 2001. Okay, so it's 9/11/01 terrorist attack. Very good example. Yun nga lang, may mga corrections lang tayo with the information. Ayan. So, it's a 9/11 attack in New York City, the World Trade Center. It is a very good example of a devastating scenario.
So the next one is severe. When we say severe, the facility is partially damaged, contaminated. Example include partial structural breach, resulting in weather, water, smoke impact, or fire damage to some areas. And some items and physical assets in the facility are damaged beyond repair, but the facility remains mostly intact. So yung na-example ko lang po dito is yung yung cause po ng natural disaster. So yung pinagkaiba lang po nila ng devastating is yung severe po is meron pa naman pong natitira pero hindi na din po siya kayang i-restore or like hindi parang mahina na po yung ng facility.
That's all?
Ganun pero mostly po talaga din doon is wala na rin po.
Okay. So, mostly on the category of severe is that yung sa devastating as in talagang destructed, wala na. Okay, hindi na mapapakinabangan. And the structure is totally from 75 to 100 yan. Unless i-rebuild ang building na yon, and then for a period of time ay walang pwedeng pumasok or hindi pwedeng mapakinabangan yung establishment. Yung severe is that malaki yung damage, almost 50%, may mapapakinabangan pa. Tama ba, Miss Escoriaga?
Yes po, sir.
So, okay lang din yung example niya that for this one is parang Star City po. Yeah, yes. Yung Star City, 'di ba yung Star City nangyari nasunugan sila, 'di ba? But not the whole Star City. Okay. Makakategorize lang natin siya as devastating if the whole facility has been turned down. I mean, wala talaga mapapakinabangan. Severe is that sa Star City, portion lang ng Star City yung nasira. So for a period of time, hindi rin sila pwedeng mag-operate, and then the number of visitors ay it's either 0 or up to 50% lang. Doon lang sa may affected area sila hindi pwedeng pumunta. From Geronimo Melody, yung forest fire po ba sa Australia, sir, considered po na severe? May question, Miss Escoriaga. Yung forest fire na nangyayari sa Australia ay mako-consider ba as severe or devastating? Let me know, guys. Reporters, let me know if you can answer the question so that we can share some idea. Okay. Sa forest fire na nangyari is that depende kasi yan kung saang perspective natin siya titingnan. If we're going to look at the perspective of the people, tao, okay, it is severe. Kasi severe in the sense na majority ng tao ay affected. Yes, they are affected. However, meron pa rin natitira sa kanila na property, for example. And madidistinguish natin yung category niya depends on the people na naapektuhan. Kasi pwedeng may isang bahay na as in nadamay sa wildfire tapos turned down. Wala. That's severe. That's devastating. Pero naman na nag-evacuate lang sila kasi malapit na sa kanila pero hindi sila inabot. Okay? But when it comes to the perspective of the animals that are living in the forest, so what do you think, Ms. Esquariaga? Is it severe or devastating?
Alin po ulit yun, sir?
Yung sa wildfire na nangyari sa Australia or any part of the world na nagkakaroon ng wildfire. What?
Severe lang.
Severe lang kasi meron pa rin portion sila na mapupuntahan kasi kung hindi naman na nasira yung buong range ng forest, it's severe. Well, devastating if the entire forest ang nawala o yung habitat nila.
So the next one is noticeable. So noticeable is the facility is temporarily closed or unable to operate but can continue without an interruption of more than 1 day. So take note na that the decision to close the facility is based on employee, community, and public relation and or political factors rather than the facility being unavailable. So dito naman po is limited number of assets may be damaged but the majority of the facility is not really affected. Meron dito na some injuries may occur but not a significant number of them are serious enough. And dito naman po is yung 25% of limited period of time. So ang example ko po dito is yung nga po yung robbery of jewelry store, which several jewelry cases are severely damaged but can be replaced. So, syempre dito po, hindi naman po natin may iwasan na hindi tayo makaka-apekto ng mga empleyado sa yung ganito pong situation. So, makakaranas po syempre yung mga empleyado ng stress, ng takot, but then, however, the physical facility is capable of opening for business. So dito naman is hindi naman po ganun kalaki yung magiging damage, hindi po kagaya nung sa devastating and severe. So dito parang hindi po malaki yung sakop niya na magiging damage. Kumbaga doon lang po sa place na yon. And also yung mga bagay po dito is pwede pa po siyang paltan. And yung store po na to is pwede pa rin pong mag-open.
Okay.
So the last one is minor. So when we say minor, the facility experience no significant impact on operation. Downtime is less than 4 hours and there is no loss of major asset. And there are no reportable injuries. So wala naman pong masyadong nasasaktan sa ganito kasi sobrang minor lang po talaga niya. And hindi na po na kailangan ng mga more injuries. So yung example ko po dito is yung example po is yung fight between employees. So syempre magkakos po to ng distraction sa mga department or pwede rin po siyang mag-cause ng big scene caused by an intimate partner na magre-required po ng kailangan dito ng police to be called but wala naman pong nasugatan. So ganun lang po yung sa minor.
Okay.
And yun lang.
Alright. So, yun lang. So, minor, yan. So, may specific downtime lang for less than 4 hours na nangyari. For example, may risk na nangyari or may accident, tapos kailangan lang natin mag-stop ng operations for less than 4 hours. So, that's the minor, category ng minor. So that is threats and vulnerability assessment of the risk analysis. Okay? So one is devastating, severe, number two, number three, noticeable, and number four is minor. Before we proceed to the next topic, okay, I have a question for all of you and also yung mga nasa nasa live natin. Okay? Now, considering what is the level or how will you categorize the scenario or the event that is happening between Russia and Ukraine? In general how will you describe or categorize yung nangyayari between Russia and Ukraine? Severe? Severe? Okay. How about the reporters? Sino ba nag-report dito? Miss Escoriaga. How about
Severe
you?
lang po,
On your perception?
severe lang po, sir, kasi hindi pa naman po siya na totally na kagaya ng devastating po, kasi meron pa rin naman pong natitira na facility sa Russia po tsaka sa Ukraine.
So, sino ba ang inaatake at sino ba ang nangaatake?
Yung Ukraine po yung inaatake, tapos Russia.
Yung Russia ang nangaatake. So, still, meron pa ring establishment, although may mga nasisira, may mga binobomba, severe category pa lang siya as of now. Alright? Next tayo.
So, yun daw po. Vulnerability is defined to be a combination of attractiveness of facility or an event as a target and the level of deterrence and or defense provided by existing countermeasures. So, yung vulnerability daw po, ito daw po yung weaknesses, yung tumutukoy sa mga pasilidad o mga pangyayari na ginagawa ng mga countermeasures para mapigilan o maprotektahan laban sa banta o panganib. Siyempre po yung pagkakaroon po ng vulnerability ay hindi lamang po ginagawa ng tao, pwede pong made by natures, pwede rin po nangyayari sa mga software, then sa tao din po. Then yung ibig sabihin po ng countermeasures, yung mga actions po na ginagawa para po mapigilan yung mga threats and risks. Nasusukat naman po yung mga vulnerability gamit po yung mga vulnerability ratings. Yan po. The first one is very high. This is the high-profile facility that provides a very attractive targets for potential adversaries, and the level of deterrence or the defense provided by the existing countermeasure is inadequate. So, para po sa akin, connected po dito yung sa devastating. Kung saan po, hindi ganun kasapat yung mga countermeasures para pigilan yung nangyari dun sa terrorist attack. High vulnerability naman po, this is a high-profile regional facility or the moderate-profile national facility that provides attractive target and or the level of deterrence and or defense provided by existing countermeasure is inadequate. So dito naman po, for example po yung yung location po ng isang facility is in a rural area. So, malayo po siya sa urban. Then, once po nagkaroon ng krimen doon, syempre po malayo yung mga police. Yung response po nila, medyo matatagalan po. Then, pwede din po dito yung mga nangyayari po sa natures natin like typhoon, flash floods, mga landslide po. It could become risk. Kasi po kahit may mga countermeasures na tayong ginawa, hindi pa rin ganun kasapat para mapigilan natin yun kasi di naman natin mapipigilan yung nature. Then sa moderate naman po, this is a moderate profile facility not well known outside the local area or a region that provides a potential target and or the level of deterrence or the defense provided by the existing countermeasure is marginally adequate. So sa moderate naman po, dito naman po papasok yung sa noticeable risk po. Yung ibig sabihin kaya pa siyang masolusyonan kaagad. Then sabi nga po, not well known outside the local area or region. So it possibly happens in particular facilities lang po. Then mas mabilis po na napipigilan yung possible risk by their existing countermeasures or actions po. Low vulnerability naman po, this is not a high profile facility and provides a possible target and or the level of deterrence or the defense provided by the existing countermeasure is adequate. So sa low vulnerability naman, dito po hindi po nagkakaroon ng ganun ng posibleng pagkakaroon ng threat or risk. Kumbaga po maliit lang po yung problema na dapat nilang bigyan action. Then sabi nga po dyan, countermeasure is adequate, so they truly countered the risk. Then pasok po dito yung minor risk na sinabi kanina ni Ms. Escoriaga. Kahit po may aberya, pwede pa rin po magpatuloy yung business. Then next po. Risk analysis then can be defined also as combination of the impact of loss rating and the vulnerability rating to evaluate the potential risk to the facility or to an event from given threat. So yun din po, yung risk analysis daw po, pwede rin siyang i-define na impact of loss at vulnerability rating. Kasi po dito po nalalaman yung potential ng isang risk doon sa isang facility o sa pwede mangyari. Yun lang po.
Okay. Sige. So let's go back with the vulnerability rating. Diba, meron tayo diyang very high. So ito yung mga high profile facility na tinatawag, high profile regional facility. Moderate is outside the region area or outside the local area or region. And then low, it's not a high profile facility na kung magkaroon man ng damage is baliwala. Okay. Sige. Mr. Penunya, question. Kunwari may isang country na a-attack sa atin, sa Philippines, whichever country. Okay, hypothetical question. How will you categorize the facilities when it comes to government facilities natin? Alin ang mga categorize mo as very high, moderate, and low? Government facilities ha?
Sir, I think po sa Malacanang po.
Malacanang, bakit?
Kasi po pwede po siyang maging asset ng risk kasi once po na nawala po yung Malacanang o na-attack po siya ng terrorist natin, yung pwede po humina yung Pilipinas. Kasi
Okay.
po,
Kasi?
nandun po lahat ng mga namumuno.
Alright. Very good. So, yung vulnerability level, okay, yung rating ng vulnerability ng Malacanang is very high. Kasi doon nakatira ang presidente natin. So, whichever country, very high ang category ng vulnerability category ng isang establishment kung saan nandun yung mga leaders. So, in America, anong counterpart ng Malacanang, Mr. Penunya?
Sir, di ko po alam.
Hindi mo alam kung saan nakatira ang presidente ng Amerika?
Sa White House, sir.
Okay, very good, Mr. Fornea. White House. Okay, hindi po sa Octagon, Mr. Basilio, ha? Yon, White House. Okay, so let's go down dun sa high. O anong namang government facility ang pwede natin i-consider na high profile regional facility? Na pwedeng, for example, for example dito sa Cavite, kung aatakihin ang Cavite, alin yung makakonsider natin na high profile regional facility? Government. Sige. Sabi natin government. Anyone, Miss Labarda, Miss Esquariaga, or kahit sabihin natin isa-isang province.
Sir, yun sa yun sa Ukraine, yung nila TV station.
Pwedeng TV station. Okay. Tama.
Yun po.
May point yung comment ni Miss Reazel Salimbao. Governor, Kapitolyo, Yan, pwede yan. It's a high-profile regional facility kasi nandun yung governor natin. Okay? So, kumbaga, if there will be an attack in a province, well, pwede nilang unahin yung mga tao, but per province, si governor ang nag-aano niyan, na namumuno per province, di ba? So, it's a high-profile regional facility, ang kapitolyo ng isang probinsya, kung saan high yung vulnerability rating niya. So, or kung sa buong bansa, it's high. Okay? How about moderate? How about moderate facility?
Yung, pwede po ba yun sa barangay?
Pwede. Pwede rin
Municipal.
municipality, city hall. Pwede rin natin i-categorize yung dito sa moderate profile facility, yung mga hospitals natin, yung ating city market, yan,
Yes,
yung
po.
barangay, and then low, so pwede siyang mga public areas like parks or mga isang community. So kumbaga magkaroon man ng distraction sa kanila or magkaroon man ng attack, is that the city government or the provincial government will do their necessary actions. Sa moderate pa, pwede rin yung mga camps ng mga sundalo natin. No. Sa high pala, sorry. Sa high pwede rin yung mga camps ng mga soldiers natin. Okay, pwede rin siya. Schools. Ang schools, sige. Sa Miss Rase, saan po natin i-categorize ang schools? Sa moderate or low? Any idea, reporters?
Moderate.
Moderate. Yan, pwede. Sige. Ayan. Okay? Alright. So, next po tayo.
A sample risk matrix is depicted in table 1.2. So, pag very high risk po, may 4 checks po siya, 4 check marks. Then, high risk po by 3 check marks. Moderate risk, 2 check marks. And low po, only 1 check mark. Then, yun po, minimal threat. Sa minimal threat po, based on my research po, it is man-made. It has no aggressors who utilize these tactics are identified for this facility, and there is no history of these types of activity at the facility on the neighboring area. Yung sabi po dito, wala daw pong gumagamit ng gantong threat. Wala rin pong na-identified na facility na nagkakaroon ng gantong threat.
Kasi nga, minimal lang siya. Okay? So, syempre, yung thinking ng mga terrorists, kung gagawa ka lang namin ng terrorist attack, edi bonggahan muna. Okay? Yung tipong, kumbaga, kung ang aim nila is pilayin ang gobyerno, so ang gagawin nila is puputulan talaga nila ng paa. Parang ganoon. As in, hindi ka makakalakad. So minimal threat. So on the left side of the table, makikita niyo diyan yung impact. So dun sa mga low vulnerability, 1 check lang 'yan. So ibig sabihin,
Nasa lang po siya, low categories lang po.
low risk lang siya, di ba? Okay? So low risk to moderate risk ang sa minimal threats. Okay? So makikita niyo naman po sa table na pre-present namin ngayon. Okay, next po tayo.
Then the next one po is potential threat. There are no aggressors who utilize this tactic, but they are not known to target this type of facility. So may mga aggressors po o may mga tao po gumagawa nito, pero hindi po yung mismong facility yung target nila. So sabi po dyan, meron pong gumagawa ng ganyang pagbabanta, ngunit hindi talaga yung mismong facility yung target. Sabi po dyan, in natural events daw po, the nature occurs in the region on a sporadic basis. Sir, di ko po gaano to maintindihan eh.
So as you said, Um, mostly potential threats is pwede natin siyang ang example natin dito ay mga natural events like bagyo. So potential threats is that magkakaroon ng baha, depends on the severity of typhoon or strong ng typhoon. Okay, so sa mga minor impact natin for low to very high vulnerability. Okay? So ano lang, minor lang yung magiging effect nito sa kanya. Noticeable to medium and high vulnerability is 2 checks, meaning moderate yung effect sa kanila. And then severe effect is that for high vulnerability and very high vulnerability. And then ang devastating ay for high vulnerability and very high vulnerability, they have 3 checks, which means they will have, if ever, a high risk of damage. If a disaster comes in, mas prone or mas malaking damage ang mangyayari doon. For example, ang Malacanang, 'di ba? Very high vulnerability siya. Once na magkaroon ng strong typhoon and it hit the Malacanang, ibig sabihin mas malaki yung risk, mas malaki yung damage na mangyayari sa kanya. That's why meron siyang 3 checks. Kumbaga yung high or level ng destruction sa kanya is mataas. Letter C, creditable threats. So how do you define creditable threats?
Ito daw po yung mga threat na kahit wala pang natatanggap na pagbabanta galing sa law enforcement agency, nakakaranas na po ng mga ng pagkakaroon ng damage po sa facility.
For example, SM, bomb threat. Kahit hindi pa sumasabog yung bomba, magkakaroon na siya ng effect. Paano, Mr. Penunia?
Ayun po, yung sa mga tao po, matataranta na sila.
Okay. Matataranta yung mga customers na nandoon. Di ba? And hindi lang yung mga customers, sino pa?
May-ari po.
Yung mga tenants, yung mga nagtatrabaho sa loob ng SM. Di ba? And letter D is
Define threat. There are aggressors who utilize these tactics who are known to be targeting this facility or the organization, and this type of activity in the area and in this facility is a known target. It has specific threats have been received or identified by law enforcement agencies. So sabi daw po dito may gumagawa ng ganitong threat at possible pang mangyari. Mostly they're targeting high profile facility or the organization on facility. Then bago pa man po mangyari, nakakatanggap na sila ng mga specific threats po.
okay, dun sa letter C na creditable threats, example the scenarios of bomb threats in a public area like malls, market, schools, security alert level 5 na siya. So, once na, for example, ang isang government agency or government establishment or high-profile establishment ay binantaan na, for example, Malacanang, that is a defined threat. Ibig sabihin, threat na siya hindi lang sa Malacanang per se, but with the whole nation, or the whole Philippines. Okay, kasi if the government received a threat sa Malacanang, ibig sabihin, it's serious, okay? The devastating factor niya is, ayan, kung makikita nyo, it's 4 checks. So, severe ang pwede mangyari, devastating ang pwede mangyari. So, yung vulnerability niya is very high and high vulnerability. That is how we analyze the risk na pwedeng mangyari sa loob ng isang organization. Okay? Next po.
So yan po yung rating category of risk po. Pag very high po, the risk is totally unacceptable. yung kailangan na siya ng immediate action, yung sinabi nga ni Sir kanina about sa Malacanang na dapat dapat bago pa man dumating yung threat na yun, na-secure na yung namumuno. Then sa kayo naman po, the high is an acceptable measures to reduce and mitigation hazard should be implemented as soon as possible. Then dito po, unacceptable pa rin pero dapat pinaiiral na dito yung risk ay yung mitigation hazard o yung paraan nila para mas mapababa yung mga posibleng risk. Then sa medium po, the risk may be acceptable over the short term. Plans to reduce risk and mitigate hazard should be implemented in the future and budgets.
Okay, so here are the interpretation of risk rating. Yung risk rating natin, we have 4 rating. We have the low, medium, high, and very high. So if the risk is acceptable, measurable, and then pwede nating mas mapababa pa yung hazard o yung risk, nasa low category lang siya. And then if it is acceptable over a short term lang, it's medium. In high naman po, it's unacceptable but pwede pa nating mas mapababa yung hazard. And then very high, it's unacceptable and then kailangan ng immediate measure na kailangan gawin for this type of risk. Question? Any further clarification? Additional po sa ating reporters?
Sure, wala na po.
Wala na? Ms. Escoriaga and Ms. Labarda?
Wala naman po, sir.
Wala na. Mr. Fornea, any thoughts?
Wala na po, sir.
Wala na. Okay. So group 1.2, thank you very much for your presentation. Well done. And thank you, Mr. Fornea, for being the guest reporter for this lesson. Okay?
Thank you din po.
And Mr. Fornea, Mr. Penunya, Mrs. Escoriaga, and Ms. Labarda, you are exempted to the activity. Okay? So thank you very much and see you later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.